Tehran directly reporting to the supreme leader. And Al-Quds is the foreign hand of it. Qasem Soleimani was one of its general. Today, a different man takes care of Quds forces. Gaza is surrounded by heavily fortified perimeters. If I am not wrong, there is a 3-kilometer buffer zone, So, this was what was breached. This was what was breached. So, today's story is ground attack, Gaza. Now, when we talk about ground attack Gaza, what is the biggest challenge for Israel for a ground operation of such a scale? That's my question number one. Have civil and military targets in Gaza become one for Israel? That's number two. Associated Press reported that the parliament and ministries are just targets. That's question number two. And to bring it all together, I am joined by my executive editor, Aditya Kaul, in the studio. I'll also be joined by Dana Kirsch, Bureau Head, Personal Training and Development, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and former Deputy Ambassador of Israel to India. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining me. I'll also be joined by Yeshaya Rosenman, Head South Asia Project, Sharaka NGO Israel. Thank you very much, sir, for joining me, taking time out. And Tammy Milheim, Consul General of Israel to South India. So first of all, I'll go to Dana Kirsch and ask her straight away, how strong is this possibility of a ground operation in Gaza? And what does it mean for the world in Israel when we talk about clearing Gaza of terrorists?
Good evening, and shalom from Israel. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for sharing with your viewers and the history of the Gaza Strip and the proximity to the state of Israel. But I have to, before I answer your question, I'm not the chief of staff of the IDF, so I will not be able to give you concrete information about concrete plans. But I think that we have to add to the equation the fact that the Palestinian people living in Gaza have been hijacked by Hamas terrorist organization and other terrorist organizations like Islamic Jihad there. And they are not taking care of their civilians. They are vicious terrorists that had infiltrated into communities in Israel and murdered 900 people. And in the hospitals now we have almost 3,000 people. So you share the map and the proximity and you equate it to Delhi. You're right. I was living in Delhi for 2 years and even in Bangalore for 3 years. And the proximity is an issue. But at the end of the day, Israel is in a state of war against the Hamas terrorist organization that they started. So if there will be a ground entry and there will be the aim is to defend the citizens of Israel, the civilians of Israel who had been murdered, and almost 150 who had been abducted and now are in the Gaza Strip. So the leadership of the state of Israel has to defend its citizens. I was woken up with my child at around 7 a.m. in the morning this last Saturday, 4 days ago, to sirens. I had to go to the shelter in Jerusalem, in my capital, because the Hamas terrorist organization fired rockets at all over Israel, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, beyond the south. So this is the reality. So at the end of the day, if I try to go back to your question, the essence is that Israel has to defend itself from the Hamas terrorist organization that is hijacked the Gaza Strip from the Palestinian people living.
I think that's very well put. I'll put this question to Yeshaya. Yeshaya, tell me, hasn't it become inevitable that the terrorists are cleared from Gaza And what will be the challenge for the Israeli forces for doing this ground operation? Because when you do this ground operation in urban areas, it's a different ball game. It's like Mosul, it's like Aleppo. You have to go block by block, alley by alley, neighborhood by neighborhood. Vishaya.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me. I would say that you are correct, that warfare in built areas is very difficult for any army, even the most technologically advanced armies, because in built areas, the technological advantages cannot play out fully. It's in such closed areas. What more so, that Hamas, most of the major Hamas assets are underground, in tunnels, in underground command centers. The central command center is underneath the biggest hospital, the central hospital of Gaza, Shifa Hospital. So that is a whole another ballgame, playing inside tunnels and underground warfare, what they call the Metro of Gaza. I would like to politely disagree with Dana when she said that Hamas has hijacked the Palestinian population. While their takeover in 2006, their takeover of the Gaza Strip may have been violent, the vast majority of the population of Gaza wholeheartedly supports Hamas and the radical, fanatic, violent versions of Islam that Hamas propagates. This is their worldview. They believe the Hamas Charter, Hamas Covenant, written in 1988, and cosmetically updated since. It explicitly calls for genocide, and this is genocide of the Jews. It is also fanatically anti-Western. The most vicious anti-Semitic propaganda can be found there. This is the worldview of the majority of the people of Gaza. It's a tremendous question what to do when the entire population, or the vast majority of it, has been radicalized. And that is the reason that Prime Minister Netanyahu, in all his speeches, you said what would be next if Israel takes it over. So if the objective is to conquer the Gaza Strip completely and to install some sort of Israeli governance, military rule or whatever, or whatnot,
Okay.
conquest would take months, no doubt, and it would be tens of thousands of people killed. Once the conquest is finished, the question is who would govern it, and the simple fact that the population is so radical and are such staunch believers in violence is the reason that Prime Minister Netanyahu has refrained from saying that he will conquer the Gaza Strip, because he does not want to rule Gaza Strip. So if the objective to conquer it and rule it, to eliminate Hamas rule, to bring their leaders to justice, try their war crimes and hang them, that is one objective.
Okay.
That is one clear objective.
Okay. Okay. Before I go to,
that is not the objective. I don't know how to find an alternative.
Okay. Before I go to Aditya, let me go to Dana for one question first. Dana, do you think that the post-Oslo Accord, 1993, the post-Oslo Accord, was it a mistake to give security duties to the Palestinian Authority then? That security, it just could have been just civilian powers, to give them security powers. Do you think in retrospect that was a mistake? First they broke up from the bigger section, radicalization took place, and ultimately it led to one of the biggest attacks on Israel from its own soil. Can you unmute yourself, Dana? Yeah.
Sorry. You always can contemplate on the past and if things were a mistake, yes or no. I can tell you one thing for sure. Israel seeks peace with the Palestinian people. That's what we have done, and that's what we have wished for decades. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, instead of a Palestinian democratic processes and other things, and through those processes, Hamas, a terrorist organization, came into governing the Gaza Strip. So I can tell you that you had shared with the history, the 2005, that Israel withdrew from those areas. I have to tell you that, for example, they uprooted 8,000 graves, cemeteries were uprooted. We wanted to pull out in order to live in coexistence and peace next to our neighbors. But as you know, and as unfortunately India knows too well as Israel, terrorism is something that you cannot plan in advance and or look in retrospect, as you have been asking in the mistake. Israel will keep on striving for peace with the Palestinian people, but we will not endure an attack of a terrorist organization like Hamas and other terrorist organizations like Islamic Jihad that are inflicting terror and inflicting so much death and casualties upon the Israeli people.
Okay, now let me go to our executive editor, Strategic Affairs, Aditya Kaul. Aditya, why do you think ground assault on Gaza, the story you broke on our network, is inevitable?
Firstly, before I begin, the airstrikes are continuing for the last 3 days. They have picked up since yesterday. There are over 1,000 airstrikes that have happened in the last 24 hours, if not more. That itself should tell you what Israel is planning. As we discussed yesterday, Kartikeya.
It's softening the ground. Am I right to use the word?
Kartikeya, what we discussed yesterday, that they have not even begun. And last night, late night, Benjamin Netanyahu came in, he addressed the nation yet again. And Netanyahu said that we have just begun. And that means that what we are witnessing right now is only a response, these airstrikes. I've just heard a word because I've been monitoring the dark web. I'm on the Hamas channel, and Hamas has just confirmed that their Minister for Economy has been killed in the Israeli airstrike, Abu Shamala, who is also in the political bureau. There's another senior leader of Hamas, Zakaria Abu Mumar, who has been killed. So senior officials of the political bureau, who Hamas called ministers in their cabinet in Gaza, have been eliminated and killed in airstrikes. The priority for Benjamin Netanyahu and the chief of the IDF as of now in the last 3 to 4 days was to secure their people, was to secure their ground, because there were at least 22 locations where terrorists had intruded and were killing innocent Israeli citizens. Till about yesterday morning, there were 7 to 8 locations still remaining where the hand-to-hand fight, eyeball-to-eyeball contact, or fight in different kibbutz near the border was underway. But now, what we are witnessing is that Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed that most of the Israeli territory is free of Hamas terrorists. Most of them have been killed. The Associated Press and international media also reporting that 1,500 dead bodies of Hamas terrorists and supporters has been found by the IDF. The numbers are large, yes, but this is not even what we will witness in the next few days. What we'll witness in the next few days, which will be much more horrific, not as gentle as Israel usually has been over the last few years. Because, Israeli politicians, the government and the IDF is comparing what happened in Saturday morning with Holocaust. They are saying that the single day casualties of more than 900 is bigger than what happened in a single day during the Holocaust. So you can imagine the pain, the agony, the anger among the Jewish community, among the Israeli citizens. And now, as you rightly pointed out, what we are discussing right now, Kartikeya, is perhaps the time for a ground assault. The Israeli Prime Minister is being backed by the US President Joe Biden. Already Austria and Germany have stopped their humanitarian aid. Other countries like France, Spain, and other European powers have said that they will completely support Israel, because Israel has the right to defend themselves. And I think it's time that history changes.